And we are live.
Oh, you're not
Good
gonna.
morning.
What?
See, I'll explain it. It's Bill O'Reilly. So I don't. It's that's
Oh,
old,
okay.
old school. Yeah,
I know
but
who Bill O'Reilly is. Like,
I know, but there's a clip. Older people will probably know. But anyway, welcome. It's Saturday, beautiful hot Saturday today in Southern California. I mean, it's been hot since like 5 a.m. I've been up since 5, and I went to
yes,
the beach, did my
summer's
bike
not over
ride,
here.
and it was hot out there. I was so usually it's really cold and breezy, but for some reason, summer decided to show up in September. So,
I mean, you
but
get used to it after a while.
yeah, but it's a beautiful day, and any day above ground is a good day. So I'm thankful. Thank you for joining us live. If you're joining us live, and if you are joining us after the live and listening to our recordings, thank you for joining us and listening after. And so today we got a few things we're going to talk about. But I'm Jerry Senior, and I'm with Jerry Junior.
Good morning.
And yeah, uh, we're going to talk about some movie trailers and streaming show that just came out. Plus a few other things. We're going to talk about character, what makes good character design, so and a few other things as well. But starting off, Minecraft movie trailer just dropped. It's kind of a teaser. It's not like a full trailer, I don't think, right? And but we do know Jack Black is in it, and Jason Momoa. And I don't know what are your thoughts? Because I'm not a Minecraft player. I've
It should have been
years ago I
animated.
tinkered with it and like
It should
looked
have.
at it,
It should have been completely animated.
but yeah, it's you're more
Uh,
familiar, right? So
yeah, I
what?
mean that's my thoughts. It should have been completely animated. It just doesn't make any sense that it should have been like the Lego movie, like you said before, where it just took place within the world of Minecraft.
Yeah, like
But
if
I'm
yeah,
really tired of these very like meta, like they just because it's a video game movie doesn't mean you have to make it like super meta. It just it's yeah, I don't know. It just lacks sincerity. Like that was one of the things that annoyed me about the Super Mario Brothers movie was that they kept calling like everything power ups and stuff. It was like, why are you talking like this? And like, it just didn't make any. It didn't really make any sense.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it was. It's like treat it like a real fantasy world. You know, you don't have to like remind people. Oh, by the way, this is a video game. You know,
yeah, right, yeah.
you
Don't
don't
forget
have
it's a
to
video
do
game.
that.
Remember that? Remember it's a video game, guys.
Yeah,
This is your favorite
it's
video
just
game.
kind of annoying. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm
that's
not a Minecraft fan, but I have extensive experience. I used to teach coding classes via Minecraft, which was actually pretty cool. I
yeah. I
used to
mean,
teach game
Minecraft
design
is
classes.
phenomenal, right? Like
Yeah,
it's you could do a lot of great things in there. Like it's not just about like kind of just building a thing like a world or a mountain or
yeah, you
it's
could play it like a
there's
traditional video game, or you could use it to
you can make
uh,
other
like a
games inside
like
of
a
it.
yeah, like
Yeah, it's
one of the
pretty
earliest
great.
things I remember was somebody created a functioning Game Boy in Minecraft,
Yeah,
and they were
yeah, I
just
remember
playing
that.
Pokemon Blue in it. And I'm just like, how what?
Yeah,
um,
so apparently this guy is supposed to be what's his name? The character from Minecraft,
oh yeah,
right?
Steve, Minecraft
Steve.
Steve.
And clearly he doesn't look like he belongs in Minecraft. He looks like a regular human. And he's supposed to be this blocky
He looks like
pick.
Jack Black.
Yeah, so it's kind of yeah, so that was something I knew was kind of off when I saw it. I'm like, wait, isn't he supposed to be like like the sheep, like
Like if
where
anything, if you're
Marky
gonna do
died.
a Minecraft movie, you got to make it like a Gulliver's Travel kind of deal, which is I call ironic
Well,
since he was
ironically, yeah,
in
because
Gulliver's
he was in
Travel.
Gulliver's Travel. That's
Yeah,
right.
no, but I say that because like I remember when I first played Minecraft when it like was first coming out, I was in like high school, and I got it because I got it on on like my tablet, and because there's like a survival mode, and basically you get stranded on an island like this randomly generated island, and you have to like build a house. You actually have to. It was like a survival game. There was
Yeah.
creative mode and survival mode, and so they could have made a movie uh, about uh, survival mode, right? Where you can still have the four friends, or whatever, stranded on this island. They have to survive, but then they find out the island keeps changing. Or maybe everything is square, and uh, I don't know. They just could have made it like an actual like narrative story instead of oh man,
Well,
we're
I mean,
trapped in it's Jumanji but lamer.
yeah, yeah. It's the fish out of water. It's the travel to a different world, and that's fine, I guess. I mean, we don't know the story yet, right? It doesn't really give us a lot of details. It's kind of,
Yeah,
but
but I
hopefully,
mean,
it's a good story.
uh,
But just off riff, like just from this trailer, I'm
I'm
not
not impressed.
impressed. I'm kind of like, okay. I mean, I'm not sure why that path was. Well, somebody I saw someone comment that it's because, well, look, we got Jason Momoa, we got Jack Black. Let's just throw them in this movie because it's going to draw people. It's going to get people to come out and watch it, right? Like that's probably the kind of the dated logic of Hollywood executives and so forth, right? We got to put a big star in it, and we gotta show their faces and all this kind of stuff. We can't just rely on the IP itself to be the draw, right? We have to throw in the celebrity aspect. And I don't think it's going to work. I don't.
It's not gonna work.
I think a lot of people don't care anymore about celebrities, right? Unless they just really like somebody. Like I like Jack Black, right? I love School of Rock, and Shallow Hal and all that stuff, right? I mean, he's great. He's funny. I like a lot of stuff he's done, even way back when he was doing
Tenacious D.
Tenacious D stuff, and he had HBO specials and all that. So I've always enjoyed what he's done, what he's done then, and even currently playing Bowser and all that. That's awesome. So I don't have anything against Jack Black in that sense. I know there was some controversy with some comments he made or his bandmate made, I guess. But it's like it's just a matter of like, yeah, but that's not gonna make me go see a movie anymore. Like,
No,
like if he did a movie and it just felt like oh, that's a typical like classic Jack Black type of movie. That's different, right? You're gonna be like, oh, let me check that out. A comedy, it's funny, slapstick kind of stuff, maybe some physical comedy, right? That's kind of his wheelhouse. And you're like, yeah, okay, a little music thrown in, maybe, right? You're gonna be like, okay, let me check it out. Why? Because you just like Jack Black, and that's his brand, right? But but it's not gonna necessarily make me go, just because he's in like the Super Mario Brothers movie, right? That didn't make me go see the movie because Jack Black was Bowser. It didn't, right?
no.
I don't care. I don't think anybody necessarily cared other than, oh, he did a good job, right? He actually sounded great, you know what I mean? Like Chris Pratt, same thing. Like anybody who just could do a decent character voice, right? And just give us a good performance can be these characters. Like you don't have to be this famous celebrity, right? And I think the age of the celebrity or the movie star is kind of gone. Like it's
Well,
kind of
yeah,
gone
because
far away.
everybody's kind of been demystified. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Like
think
it's
social media has made the world smaller,
yeah.
and we can kind of see the holes and the flaws and the cracks, and and they're more humanized for sure, which is good, but also I don't think it necessarily works in their favor, especially if they're not authentic, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen that, over the recent years, where celebrities try to go online, they start a live stream or they start a podcast, and it kind of struggles, So the media, right, says this person's awesome, then they become kind of irrelevant because they really weren't awesome, and then you find out that fact because when they try to go online, they try to do YouTube channel, and it's kind of like nobody really responds. Like they're kind of like, who cares, right? You're we don't really care about you. Like you're just not relevant. You're not fun. You're not interesting at all. That was the press telling you that,
Yeah.
right? But the actual people are going, whatever, right? So you end up with only a few thousand, subscribers versus somebody who kind of just built everything up, who was a virtual nobody, right? Has millions of followers, right? Why? Because they put in the work. They're authentic. And they've learned the language of social media, so to speak, right? Good, bad, or indifferent, right? So, and that's the difference. Like the celebrity, the idea of celebrity, at least the traditional, I don't think it's relevant anymore. And the way they're getting these movies funded and everything, it's like they're still relying on that model, right? And I guess it still works. It's like, hey, we're gonna have this familiar name in this project, and so give us money. And they go, okay, right? Investors go, sure, we know that guy, right?
Right. Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's good for raising money, but it's not good for creating actually good content, right? It's
Right.
like it doesn't ensure the movie is going to be good, right? That it's in it, or that it's going to even be profitable, right? So, and I think eventually investors are going to pick up on that. And they're going to be like, yeah, just because you got Will Smith in here, it's like, is he likable? Is his brand still something that's solid? What was the last movie he did? Like a Will Smith, because of the success of Bad Boys, right? The latest, most or the last two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you say Will Smith's going to be in it, most likely they're going to say, all right, great. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because he has a track record of, of success. And even Jack Black, I mean, he has a track record. Super Mario Brothers did great, right? Um, and he was in it, so
Right.
it makes sense to say, let's put him in this another video game based movie.
Yeah,
And
my
I think he was
problem
in
isn't that Jack
Borderlands
Black
too,
is in it. My problem is that
no,
he's
yeah, that's
just
not
playing. He's just playing Jack Black.
right. He's just
He's
Jack
not
Black,
playing Steve.
right? It's like voice the character and give us a great performance,
And it's
But
not like
yeah,
they did the bare minimum to make him look like, quote unquote, look like Steve. Oh, let's give him a turquoise
well, he's a
turtleneck.
white male in a turquoise shirt. That's
Yeah,
enough. Close enough. That works. Yeah,
like
that'll do.
that's even lazier than the original Mario
So yeah,
movie.
but we'll see. I mean, it's just that one trailer. Hopefully, there's a narrative where maybe he becomes the Minecraft Steve. Maybe this is how he becomes Minecraft Steve, or maybe it's vice versa. Maybe he was, and now he's human, and he doesn't know why, and he has to figure out how to get back to being mine. Who knows? Like, hopefully,
I
it's
doubt
something
it.
clever like that, right? Where maybe I think it's going to be maybe he becomes Minecraft Steve, right? And he becomes the blocky guy somewhere in the third act, right? Like, and he realizes, oh, this is who I'm supposed to be, right? Like, I don't know. That that would make sense, I
Well,
guess.
he's
But that's the only
already
thing
Steve. I mean,
I
he's
know. But maybe
already.
he's Steve in the sense of he's like them. He's just stuck in this world,
Yeah, but in
But
the
and he doesn't
trailer,
know how
he
he got
acted
there.
like
So
he
I
was
don't know.
welcoming everybody
I know
to
that's
the.
true, but like I said, it's a trailer, so like they cut a trailer to tell any kind of story you want.
I mean,
So
yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean. So we'll see. I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt because visually it looks beautiful. Like the graphics and everything, the scenery, they've captured Minecraft uh, quite quite nicely. Like it looks great. It looks like Minecraft. Like with
I
the
don't think it looks that great.
so
I
I
I
think it
think
does. Look at this. That looks really cool. It's like, okay, I mean, visually, you got to. I'm not talking about the characters, the actors. I'm talking about just the scenery. You know,
Well, yeah, but
it's impressive.
the characters are important. Like,
Well, I agree. I'm just saying, so far as the production quality, it visually it does look solid. It looks good. I mean, it's kind of like why not just make it fully, animated? That looks cool. I mean, it's Minecraft. It's like okay, so yeah, like, and I'm sure a lot of people are asking that question, right? Like, why not just have them all just be a like the Lego movie, right? Was a Lego movie, right? The characters were
yeah,
Legos, everything was Lego. It wasn't about, and then we find out, oh, it's this kid's imagination, and it was
yeah.
very
The way they did
cleverly
it
done,
was
right?
clever.
And so I was kind of hoping it would be something akin to that, where like it's this grand adventure. Then you find out, oh, this is like some cool game that somebody made in Minecraft, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something like that, right? That would be kind of awesome, right? You find out at the end, like, oh, it's a game. They were like, what if the people playing, these characters were actually just playing Minecraft, and they're playing a game in Minecraft, but they're Minecraft characters, obviously, right?
Well, they make it seem
Something
like
like that.
they make it. I don't know. They didn't
Yeah.
really.
So
They
I don't
didn't
know.
really make it seem like that.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. We'll see. I mean, but yeah, I agree. Initially, my initial impression is I'm not impressed. It doesn't. I'm not excited about it. But I'm not a Minecraft, like fan. Like I'm not like deep into it. But I'm hearing from Minecraft players, Minecraft people that yeah, they're not impressed either. Right? They're kind of like yeah, okay, whatever.
I mean, that's the thing. It's the trailer's job. The trailer should try to get me into Minecraft, and it just didn't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
This is true. It doesn't make you want to play the game or anything, or you know,
no.
it's kind of like okay, well, whatever. But to be fair, I don't think that's the point of the movie anyway. Like these movies, with a few exceptions, right? Like you can look at the Marvel franchise and say, yeah, it did encourage, especially young people, to read comics, right? To at least check out comics and see who these characters are in print, like where they came from. So, it didn't boost comic sales, at least, not for current day stuff, right? But, generally, yeah, it definitely encouraged people to read comics. Will this encourage people to, play Minecraft? I don't know, probably not. Maybe some people might go, "What is this Minecraft?" and look it up, and but I don't think it. Even Super Mario Brothers, like it's like it's not going to make people play, right?
I mean, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a few. Nothing. I don't think it's going to be significant, though. You know what I mean?
I mean,
That's
obviously, if you're watching the movie, you probably already played Mario. So,
yeah, that's very true. Yeah. So,
so
but
I
yeah,
get,
well,
but I don't know.
more power to them. We'll see.
No,
And then
less power.
yeah, but speaking of well, it's not a movie; it's a streaming series, Terminator Zero, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and they dropped the trailer. It was like I guess, a teaser.
Now that looked awesome, and
Yeah,
I'm not a
visually,
big Terminator
yeah,
person.
that looked really, really cool. I didn't care for some of the when I just looking at the trailer. Um, they released, it wasn't a trailer. It was like
I mean, it was a
it
trailer.
was no, it was like a featurette. Like they did like it was a clip, I think, from the first episode.
Oh,
You know,
okay, I didn't see
like
I didn't see any clips yet.
yeah, I saw that first,
Oh,
um,
okay.
and that was kind of like, like it started off pretty awesome, but then eventually you start to realize, okay, well, here's this chick, and she's like really cool. She's shooting the Terminator. She's running, and he's like got this automatic weapon, and he's completely missing. Like he's shooting like a stormtrooper. Like every shot misses. Not even a ricochet gets her, so there's no bullet wounds. There's no. She's never actually injured. She like there's a scene where she's hanging from the ceiling of the shaft or whatever by
Yeah.
this rope, and the Terminator literally leaps on her and grabs her. right? So we got this, it's a Terminator. So he's what, two something, 300 pounds of metal, right? On this 100 and something pound female, and she's just holding on. It's like, I don't think so. And I know it's animated, but it's like, come on, man. Like, we're trying to ground this, right? This is supposed to be an action adventure series, but it should have a grounded feeling. And it's
Mhm.
already gritty. It's definitely not uh, uh, for kids, right? It's definitely going to be more adult, And it's kind of like, okay, but like, make me believe it. And that took me out of it a little bit because I'm like, okay, and he's just hanging on. And then he almost falls and he grabs her by the ankle, and it's like there's no dislocated hip there or shoulder, something like. It's just like, nope. She just kind of kicks him and ties her shoe, and he falls, and she gets away. And it's like, okay, um, so I'm already coming in like that looks kind of dumb. Like, it looks beautiful visually, but that scene, especially that particular, it kind of turned me off. Like, all right, what's happening? Is this, there's some like plot armor here, like impenetrable plot armor. Like, he just cannot be injured at all, right? So it's kind of weird. But the rest of it, I've been watching. I watched the first episode, um, and most of it, I actually didn't finish watching it.
Oh, it's out already.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. There's about um, I don't know, 8 episodes. Yeah, 8 episodes. Um, and it's a, I guess, a whole different timeline. It jumps back and forth between the past and the future. But I don't recognize any of the characters, like the doctor or scientist, whatever, that
Right.
apparently creates the Terminator technology. Is a different person than what we saw in the movie. Their whole different family dynamic, all this stuff. Um, but overall, it looks interesting though. Um, but yeah, that just that aspect kind of took me out. So I'm hoping it gets better. But so far, the first episode, and all that's for basically half of the first episode, and the other half is the scientist, and you meet his kids and everything, and you kind of get a sense of his life, and he's having these nightmares about the future, you know. So it's clear that he's aware, like there's something going on. There's some
Hmm.
technology that he's developing and all this kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, it's definitely some foreshadowing and building up. It looks like it's kind of rehashing the first Terminator for sure. Well, basically all the Terminators of the future characters come back to the past to save the guy or the woman or the whatever, to stop this terrible future thing happening. So it's the same thing kind of being rehashed again. Um, so we'll see. But right now, I'm kind of like neither here nor there. Like I said, that one thing does bother me. So but I'm hoping that doesn't continue throughout this, where it's just kind of like she just has this plot armor constantly throughout the story. So let's hope not. But that scene kind of foreshadows that, because I'm like, there should be like some broken bones or something, man. like,
Well,
like,
well,
like what?
because she was being chased by a robot.
Yeah, you're being chased by a Terminator, right?
Yeah.
And now the Terminator is just so imprecise now, right? Like, he can't make a good shot, with an automatic weapon. Like it's just starts to get dumb, right? Unless she's a like maybe she's a Terminator. I don't know. I haven't revealed that. That's a good point. Something I hadn't thought about. Maybe she's a Terminator herself, which would
Hmm.
explain why she would survive all that, right? So that kind of makes sense. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm willing to give it a chance because it looks awesome. The animation looks beautiful and everything, and I'm definitely intrigued to see where the story goes. So,
Hmm.
um, but like I said, that kind of threw me off. So, but yeah, maybe that's the kind of a foreshadowing that, oh, maybe she's not human, right? So, uh, I'll give it a shot. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. uh, but yeah, moving on, you wanted to talk about.
So for context, there's a game that recently came out. You may have heard about it. It's called Concord.
Concord. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't blame you if you don't.
Is that the one from um what country is that? Was it Norway or something? Or
No, you're
uh,
thinking of a different game, which I'll
okay.
get to later. But, but, no, it's the one that looks like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
And I'll send you the trailer.
Oh, it's from Sony, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have seen that.
Okay, yeah. It's so just to I don't want to beat a dead horse. I mean, we know it flopped. We know no barely any people are playing it, and
But the question is why? Why did
yeah,
right?
and you know, there's the I mean, so I mean, uh, well, let's. What
So
really
it kind of looks like an Overwatch rehash, right?
I
What's
mean,
the
it is. Except you know, one of the things about Overwatch is the unique character designs. Everybody because it's superheroes, right? So it's superheroes in the future. So everybody's got armor. Everybody has costume designs based off of their abilities, right? Tracer, she has like a tracksuit type
yeah?
style armor. You could tell what everybody's abilities are by looking at them. You can't really do that, and let me send you the specific video. You can't really do that with Concord because, uh, I mean, personally, I'll actually just pull it up.
Yeah, yes. Share the screen. Yeah, they look pretty generic.
But yeah, exactly.
That's the word that comes to my mind is generic.
Yeah, they look generic. So I don't know if you could see that, but
Yeah,
like, they some of them look insufferable, and then others just look generic. But yeah, it's like you couldn't tell what everybody's powers are or gameplay is by looking at them. They just look like, you know, space fantasy. I don't know. They don't even look like some of them don't even look like they belong in like space fantasy. Some of them do and some of them don't. It's weird. But but like so okay, this and there's a really great video about this. Um and I'll find the YouTuber in a minute. But someone did a really good video about how none of the designs convey what their gameplay is going to be in the game. On top of being generic, like so, this person with the rocket launcher here. Uh, would you believe me if I said that they could fly?
no.
Exactly. A it's
But
just
they,
you know a
they
chick
have
with a
they have a
giant
rocket
helmet
pack,
and a rocket launcher.
but they can fly like Superman fly, or they have like
Yeah,
rocket
yeah.
boosters or something. Or
Well, no, I guess they have. I guess you could kind of see a jetpack,
oh, they,
but
oh, okay. I couldn't really tell.
I know exactly. That's the problem. You can't tell. And then there's and there's this.
Why is their helmet square?
Why does it look like a trash bin?
What? What's the point of that?
I don't know.
What is the logic behind that? Like
I
we'll make it
don't.
square
I don't
because
know.
squares.
But yeah, that's mainly the problem. And then he's supposed to be a lizard man, I guess, but he just looks like a green dude. He looks,
I
you
mean,
know,
yeah, there's no scales, there's
yeah, he
no
looks like a very
eyes.
depressed. I forgot the
He's like a punk rocker who's
yeah. What was the Mary
malnourished.
Poppins dude from Guardians 2? What was his name?
Oh, Yandu
Yeah,
Riju.
he just looks like a depressed Yondu.
That's
You
terrible.
know, so it's like yeah, it's yeah. it's trying to capture that Guardians of the Galaxy look and feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, none of the character designs are A, they're not memorable, and B, they don't really convey who the characters are. And you brought it up earlier when you were talking about shout out to Don Bluth. He's the animator and creator of The Lamp for Time, All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Well,
Uh,
just some of the best animated features and
well, yeah, Secret of Nim.
from my childhood, basically your
Oh yeah, I
childhood.
mean yeah. Um, American Tail.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I
uh,
could go on, but
yeah,
the
legend.
point is that he made a really good post, and that he did not share with me, but yeah, he was talking about, it was the one you
Oh
about
yeah, I'll share it.
Spike, and Spike, he's one of the dinosaurs from the Land Before Time, and he brought up a good point about, yeah, here we go,
Yeah,
you know, and it's something that I wholeheartedly agree with. Spike is one of my favorite characters. He's very shy and also very forgiving. Giving a character a personality is crucial in character development. Without it, you have a drawing with no soul. And like you could tell,
yeah,
you could tell who Spike is just by looking at him. You know, he looks like he's hungry all the time. He looks like he's super friendly. You know, he looks like, he's kind of arched back, like he's, like, he does look kind of shy in the sketch. I mean,
yeah.
like you could tell who Spike is.
Just by looking at him,
Yeah,
practically. Yeah, that's true.
and it's like, if you don't like that's so
That's a good
important in
character.
a character, right?
I
Like
agree.
like it's like, I think I feel like it's a lost art, not necessarily in um uh like, I feel like a lot of independent creators have been very really good about creating really dynamic character designs, not just in look, but also like how they feel, I guess. But like, obviously, one of my favorite characters of all time is Sonic the Hedgehog,
Yeah,
and I mean, I don't even need to. Where is there we go. I really don't need to, like, this. I don't even need to say anything. You can just look at it. Look at this.
yeah.
This
It's
is
yeah,
this is one of this. I'm trying to expand it. But this is one of the coolest poses of all time. Like, just like, this tells me everything I need to know about Sonic.
I know you're right.
He's he,
It conveys his personality, right? He's
he's got the
fun,
finger guns.
energetic.
He's got the
Yeah,
crazy pose. Like,
yeah,
he already looks like he's about to roll into a ball, but he's also doing the finger guns at the
yeah.
same time.
You look at
That's
the
awesome.
overall pose; he's just a big circle.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
kind of what
exactly.
he creates when he
It's
does.
literally just a circle,
Yeah. So
but it's the
it's just
coolest
great
circle
design. It's
ever.
great
And
character
even
development.
classic Sonic is
Yeah, it's
the
the way he
sassy finger
stands.
wag. He's got attitude,
But you
whatever.
can
Yeah,
see the influences from previous his predecessors, like Bugs Bunny or something.
yeah, but
The way
big
he
Mickey Mouse.
stands,
Yeah, exactly. The
the attitude.
snarkiness,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
But it's
And
also like
yeah,
got the anime Mickey Mouse cuteness.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
I
a
mean,
good, you know,
yeah, character design is not as simple or easy as a lot of people may think, and
yeah,
there's a lot of unspoken things that are just very nuanced in how we view a character and how it's presented that we're not always aware of. We just know, oh, I like what that looks like. I like how that looks. I like, and you know, creators like Don Bluth, etc. They've mastered it, right? Um, and yeah, it's important, and that's kind of part of what's missing with a lot of games like Concord, right? It's that character, like you're still, even though it's a game, you're still telling a story. And part of
Yeah.
telling a story, a big part of telling a story, is interesting characters, right? Characters that resonate, and they have to resonate visually as well as how they present their personalities. You
Yeah.
know, because
And
you're trying to
also,
make them appear like they're living things, right?
right.
So, but yeah, the game I was thinking about, made in Norway, was the Dustborn. That's the
Oh,
other.
okay.
Yeah, that's the one. And it seems
Yeah.
both games have pretty much flopped big time. And I think Dustborn was overshadowed by Concord. Concord
Which
sounds
is
like it's
ironic.
just a bad game, right? It's
Which
just a
is
poor design. But uh, Dustborn, I think it goes a little deeper than just a poorly designed
so okay, all right.
game,
So,
right?
and I'm going to be real here. I'm not a big fan of using the term like woke, not necessarily because like it's bad, but it doesn't. Just saying something doesn't always narrow down an issue I have with a specific thing. Because
Right.
it's like I mean, people, you could call anything woke just because, oh, there's a black, but obviously that's not true. But it's like I can't, I can't. There's nothing that I can really defend about this game. It literally is just
Just
woke garbage, and like
yeah,
I've never called anything that, but like
that's
I
true.
watched somebody play the game, and I'm like, why is, and part of my
Well,
I don't know,
it, it
it just makes me so angry because it's like,
it makes me think of what they did a few years ago with the this comic book release. I think it was from Marvel, and the
are you
characters were
talking
all
about the
uh,
new? Are you talking about the new? The
yeah, I know it slips my mind right now, but yeah, the safe space, and like these all these
forgot what it was
woke,
called. The new.
unironically, right? These woke
Uh,
characters, like literal woke characters, and we were
new
supposed to take these characters seriously, like
the new Warriors. There we
yeah, the
go.
new
Yeah.
warriors, and they were all based off of these, what we would call woke
Yes, safe
SJW
place and
tropes.
Snowflake and
Yeah, snowflake, and it's
uh
like there was supposed to be some kind of
the
ironic
internet
twist,
gas kid.
yeah, on these concepts, as if they're actually really positive traits or positive, and it's like, no, they're not. Like you're it's like the artist and the writer trolled himself, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it was
Honestly.
self-deprecating, and because it was so out of touch with reality, right? That somehow they really believe people will look at this and go, "Oh yeah, I'm with this safe space and snowflake character." Like, yeah, and it's like, and it was just every stereotype or trope you can think of thrown into these characters, and it was just so absurd. And that's kind of what we're seeing now, the equivalent of that with Dustborn, right? In the form of a video game, right? It's like you're just throwing in a bunch of what you think are popular tropes, right? Tropes that, but they're popular for the wrong reasons, right? You think they're popular because people think they're cool, and it's like, well, no,
Well, it was more of
don't think they're cool.
like the way the guy explained it, the writer explained it. He was like trying to. It's like how people. It's like how certain people are all about. Oh yeah, we're reclaiming the N word or something. So it was that
Yeah,
mentality, but with
well, I think
that,
with the
and
new
I think
Warriors, that
it's
may have
really
been the case.
stupid.
Yeah, I think that was the intent. But here, it's really like, and they're saying this because it was paid for by Norwegian tax money, but government,
Oh yeah,
which they do a
that's
lot of that. They
wild.
a
I
lot of
just want to
countries,
say it's
a lot
very
of,
ironic that they made this quote unquote punk game with government funded taxpayer
yeah. Well,
dollars.
and yeah, it was it's not unusual though. It happens all the time in a lot of these countries, even in Japan, etc.
Oh no, I
Government
agree. It's
funds
always, but
entertainment. Yeah.
it's always bad. It's all
No, it's not. It's not always. Sometimes it's decent. A lot of your favorite anime probably are taking advantage of government funds
that's
to
true.
produce. So,
I
yeah. So I'm
I'm
not
mainly thinking
knocking the
about
fact that
stuff
it's
that
government. It's
has a
just
clear agenda. So
well, yeah, of course, the government always has an agenda, but my thing is they're saying we thought there was market potential. So somehow somebody who was part of the decision process, right, actually believed that there was a market for this woke SJW nonsense, right? That people would genuinely respond to it and like it, like they really thought,
whoops.
yeah, we got to. This game is a reflection of what the market wants, right? They really believe that, and they couldn't have been further from reality, right? Um, and not realizing that, and who knows? I mean,
I
it's
mean,
like
I
a lot of
kind of don't.
investors too. A lot of times they're not into the thing they're investing in, right? Like when investors invest in movies, it's not always like they're fans of movies. They're seeing it as a vehicle to park their money, to get tax write-offs, to maybe get some kind of return on their money, things like that, right? They're not necessarily looking at like, oh, I love this particular genre, right? Or sometimes sure, but not all the time. And it's the same with when governments pay for stuff. Like they're not paying for stuff because I just love animation and games and art. A lot of times it's like, well, we just want to send this message, or we want to sponsor things that have a certain kind of message in it, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
somebody convinced these government, you know, decision makers that this is what people want to see, right?
Yeah. Well,
You know,
so here's the thing. My issue with as someone who actually watched somebody like play the game, um, the uh, the game's biggest issue is because it's supposed to be a more it's supposed to be a telltale style game, quote unquote, where
yeah, yeah,
it's all about character interactions and dialogue
yeah.
and dialogue trees and stuff like that. Um, I don't even want to talk about her, but
I mean,
every the problem. Here's the thing: the reason why most people end up not liking the game, who gave it a chance, is because the characters are insufferable.
right?
All
They're
of them,
not. They're not
every
like.
single one.
Yeah, they're
Like
not
it's
likable
if
characters,
they're
right?
not complaining about if they're not complaining about something, they're being a complete a hole to each other.
Yeah,
And if they're
they're,
not
they're
being a complete
correcting
a
you
hole
on
to each other,
pronouns. They're
well, it's not even. It's
virtue
not even just.
signaling, and it's
Well, no, it's
it's
not even. It's not even
pretentious.
just that. I mean, there is some of that in there, but it's not
I
even just
know
that. Outside of that, they're just a bunch of jerks,
yeah,
and they're
but
not likable jerks. They're just
right. They're,
like so
look,
like
people
they're
people want characters they can root for, right? And the characters don't always have to be quote unquote good characters, right? They just, but they do have to be likable. They do have to resonate somehow. That's why we can look at anti-heroes, right? And still root for them because there's something about them that we like, right? There's something about them that resonates, that appears or impresses upon us as authenticity, right?
right.
And that's what's this kind of stuff lacks is because it's so surface level, you know. Excuse me. That excuse me.
But the character dynamics between
It's
the character chemistry, I should have said, I'm sorry, between the characters is so awful. Like it's like, how are these people even friends? It's like
right
the
because
the
look,
main girl. Well,
they're not
hold on a
friends.
second.
Yeah,
The main Pax, the one on the right, like she's such an asshole. Excuse, but it's just like, because like she's supposed to be the leader, but she
of
can't
course.
lead, and like she never like thinks. I don't know. She's always like
There's
she
nothing
never
about
act.
her that
She
says
can't do anything by herself. Part of the gameplay is the fact that she's so useless that you have to pick one of your team members to like do something for her,
Well, because
and she never
leaders,
says please.
leaders,
She's
leaders are always rude and useless and provide no
well,
value.
no. You don't understand that. She will try to open a door and be like, I can't open this door. Let me go yell at one of my friends to have him come open this, break down this door for
Right,
me.
that's what leaders do.
Or, I can't lift this thing. Let me get him.
Yeah, that's
Literally,
leader.
one of the text box dialogues is, let me get this man to do it.
But that's
I,
what leaders do. They just get other people. You have to understand, this is from the worldview of a typical sort of SJW minded individual that sees everything as oppression. Like if you have a job, your boss is an oppressor, right? The person, if you have an apartment, your landlord is an oppressor. If you and you just fill in the blank, right? Anyone that owns anything, anyone that appears to have some kind of power, quote unquote, right? And so that's the dynamic this is all coming from. That's why it's like I have to get someone else to do. I have to get this man. I have to get, and it's supposed to be this sort of irony, but it's not. It's just pretentious, right? It's like there's no intrinsic value with any of these characters. They don't offer it. They don't have to offer anything of value. They don't have to have any actual skills or it's just they're just doing things and they're existing, and that's enough. It's enough to just exist and not
well, funny
create
enough,
value or
the
build
only
anything.
the only tolerable person in this friend group is the man, is the guy. He's like the only normal person. I'm not even kidding you. He's like the only normal person.
I mean, it's a bit of irony there, right?
But like I bring up character dynamics because it's like if you're gonna have me follow this group of people, there should be some kind of dynamic to where each character provides something unique to the table, and also they all feed off of each other, right? Like none of the characters really, they don't bounce off of each other well because half the game is just them bicker with each other, and when there are supposed to be moments of levity, it doesn't come off as sincere. It comes off as particularly the main character trying to like force herself to uh, uh, like relate to these people, but she doesn't know how. But it doesn't feel genuine, especially when the dial. I got it. I'm getting a headache, but like one of my, and it's like it's not that type of game doesn't work, but because I played and I've told you about Like a Dragon before, or the Yakuza game specifically.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I love Yakuza. Yakuza Zero is one of my favorite games of all time, and Yakuza 7 is. I gave it a chance, even though I'm not a big RPG person. I'm enjoying it so far, and it's a really fun game. But one of the reasons why the character dynamics in Like a Dragon works, or Yakuza 7, whatever you want to call it, works, is because all of the characters there's a clear character dynamic that's in play that you can visually see, right? They call it the 5-man band, right? You've got the hero, and they play into this too because the main character is schizophrenic and like he views everything as an RPG.
Right.
It's a running joke, but you got the hero, or which is Ichiban. You've got the emotional core, which is the girl. You've got the I mean, there's a lot of ways you could kind of frame the 5-man band, right?
Well,
Normally,
yeah,
it's the hero, it's the lancer, it's the
I mean,
muscle,
just
the
look at
smart one,
Overwatch
and the
and
heart.
did it quite well. Team Fortress, I mean, it could be so many different combinations of that, right?
Well,
Uh,
yeah. Well, I'm
is that
specifically.
they play off each other's strengths and weaknesses, right? And most importantly, each individual character is likable. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, I mean, actually, a better example would be Gotcha Man. There we go. Yeah, Gotcha Man. Five
Yeah,
man band. You've got the hero, the cool guy, the chick, or the heart. You've got the precocious. You got the kid, and you've got the big dude.
right.
And then
Muscle, yeah.
yeah, the muscle. Although what's cool about uh Gotcha Man is in some iterations the muscle also doubles as in uh Rocky's case, um or I'm gonna call him the owl because I know he has different names and different, but he doubles sometimes he doubles as the tech guy,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. The mechanic or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So it's like we already know that the eagle, he's the leader, he's by the books. We know that the cool guy, he's the rebel, but it's kind of a red oni, blue oni dynamic, right? You've got the the chick, and she's usually the heart of the group or the emotional core of the group. You've got the kid, who's sort of the rebellious. Sometimes rebellious, sometimes he's the comic relief, or he's the underdog, and
right.
you've got the big guy who, like I say, he's the clutch dude, or he's the mechanic, and they play off each other really well in the show, and especially the '94 OVA, and it's a great team dynamic because all the characters work with each other. Um, Avatar: Avatar: The Last Airbender. You've got Aang, who he's the hero, but he also doubles as the heart of the group. You've got what's his name? Yeah, Soka, who's the tactician,
Right.
but he's also the comic relief. You've got his sister Katara, who's sort of the wisdom, but she's also the heart of the group. You've got Toph, who's the muscle. She's the earthbender, and you've got Zuko, who's the sort of the yin to Aang's yang, right?
Yeah.
And he's the firebender, but he's also he's the warrior, you know. And they all play off each other, but more importantly, they all the it's the hero's job, right, to play off of not to play off of uh, another YouTuber, literature devil put it uh, very well. But it's the hero's job to sort of fill the void of each other band member, right?
Right.
Because Sokka, he doesn't have, like, he's the tactician, but he doesn't have any bending powers of his own, and so Aang, he throughout the show he uh, uh, sort of reinforces that, hey, you're a valuable member to the team and stuff like that. Katara and Aang, obviously they're love interests, but on top of that, like, you know, um, you know, uh, I I just but I wish I would have planned this out a little better, but I mean, if you watch the show, you could clearly see, like, you know, uh, Aang sort of like he gels with each character in a very different way.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole point. Is when you have an ensemble, especially, you want your characters, your supporting characters, to play off your main character, right? And so a lot of times that could be having a opposite character, right, who has a very opposite personality than your main character. And then you have other characters that may complement your main character, right? That supports your main character in different ways. Like a good example, like the probably the most iconic and classic examples is Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, with the sort of the Trinity, right? Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, where
Yeah,
you have clearly Batman and Superman are visual opposites, right? Uh,
right,
Batman operates in the darkness and at night, right? Superman, he operates in the day, right? He works with justice, in a certain way, and Batman does as well, but it's more from the shadows, right? And then you have Wonder Woman, who's, she's like the girl Friday, right? She's like there as a support for both of them in very different ways, right? And it's kind of like the way they portrayed her was very, very awesome because, like with Batman, she was a great support. She was like his muscle, right? But they
yeah,
still presented her as very feminine. And then with Superman, it was more like just sort of moral support for Superman, right? Like kind of cheering him on. And yes, added muscle,
yeah,
and it's like it was a great dynamic that they presented them with, and it just worked so well. And then you fill in the rest of the roster, right, with the original seven and everything with the Flash and Green. And like I love the dynamic with John Stewart, Green Lantern, and the Flash, right? It was kind of this straight man, funny man, right? The whole Abbott and Costello kind of feel, where clearly Flash was the funny man, right? The goofball,
right.
and the
But he was also the
immature,
heart of the group.
but he was, and but him paired with Green Lantern was so well done, right? Because
Yeah,
Green Lantern was this very strict, hardcore guy, military, ex-military, very disciplined. Then you have Flash, who's kind of like all over the place, right? But he's like you see, he has heart. He's very smart, right? He's not stupid, right? He's funny, he's silly, but he's not
yeah.
stupid.
He's a forensic scientist.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
That's what I'm
actually,
saying.
this is
But they,
Wally
but they,
West, so I don't know how
yeah,
different he
Wally.
is.
Yeah, I think he still was. He was still a forensic scientist, but I'm just saying they didn't play that up too much because he was the heart of the group and he was kind of the kid of the group, right? And so they had a lot of fun with that dynamic because there's a few episodes where it's like it was just a great um, pairing of those two characters. It just works so well, and it's because each character was developed so well and so solid, right? And they were presented in a manner that, like, when you look at Green Lantern, John Stewart, right? You see how his posture is, right? He's drawn in a very regal pose, right? He's straight, right? And he has shoulders are nice and wide, and it's like, and his expression is very stoic. Then you get Flash, and it's more like Sonic. When you look at compare the Flash with Sonic or something, right? You kind of see this kind of relaxed pose. He's got one foot cocked over, and
Yeah,
his shoulders are more dropped a little bit, right? Because he's chill, right? He's more of a whimsical character, and you can go on. Superman, very similar to John Stewart, but then there's a little bit of spark of playfulness with Superman, right? He's got that twinkle in his eye, right? Or kind of a smirk, like cocky, kind of arrogant, but confident, right? But not in
yeah,
a way where you don't like him, right? Even when they went to Unlimited, right? They did a kind of a redesign, and they made Superman a bit more mature, and all they did was add this little line, like this little age line on his face, and it made a world of difference. You're going like, "Whoa, that's a more mature Superman." It's kind of funny because his design didn't change very much, right? I think
yeah.
they made him a little bit kind of bulkier or whatever,
Are
but
you
they
talking
just
about?
added that little line. And when he went from
Wait.
Justice League to Justice League Unlimited, they did
Oh
kind of
yeah,
revamp of
that's
the
true. Yeah,
visual style,
yeah,
and they just added that little line, and it just made a world of difference. It's like, oh, this is a mature Superman.
that's
So
true.
it's
Yeah,
like that's the power of good character design, though. And it just works so well. And the way they have the characters play against each other, like Hawk Girl and Wonder Woman, and you didn't see a whole lot of Hawk Girl Wonder Woman episodes, right? But they do have a couple, you know,
yeah. They
uh,
were good though.
they were, but
Both
you
in
show,
Justice League and Unlimited.
especially after she betrayed the Justice League,
Oh yeah.
they put that dynamic together, and it's like, oh, but they had a nice resolution. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's just very smart character dynamics, right? And but it comes from developing giving them a personality. Make sure that these characters are living. They're alive, right? That's the goal, right? Whether it's in comics or it's in animation or movies, it's like you want your characters to be alive, right? So you have to, even if like you develop all these different traits and like quirks and different things, likes and dislikes, and you don't use them all, right? Like you could probably talk to any animator, creator, like a Bruce Tim or whoever, and say like, what was the breakdown for the Flash? And they probably say, oh, he's this and this and this. And you go, well, I never saw that in the show. It's like, yeah, well, it's part of his repertoire. It
Oh yeah.
help feed into
Uh,
how we presented the character, but we don't have to present every little thing that we develop for the character, right?
oh yeah.
It
One of the
just
things
helps
that I
feed
like
into
about
presenting the character.
yeah, one of the things I like about uh, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, um, and Part Three, Stardust Crusaders. Guess what JoJo's favorite TV show is?
What?
It's Columbo.
Of all things, Columbo.
Yeah, but when you look at JoJo's character and how he like deduces stuff, I think he says it at one point, but
Yeah,
it's just like a footnote.
it,
But
it kind of it kind of makes sense,
yeah,
right?
it kind of makes sense because he's
Yeah,
usually like the first one to figure out, oh, this guy's a stand user. Oh, this is how the power works. He's always
right.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
he's always like, even though he's supposed to be stoic, he's always very clever. But yeah, it's like, yeah, it makes sense when you look at how he handles situations, right?
yeah,
And it's like it's stuff like that's really cool. Just about what you said about utilizing the entirety of a character's sort of breakdown.
yeah. It's just there to feed into how you as a writer and even the artist, right? If you're drawing or animating this character, it
Yeah,
feeds into how you present the character, like knowing that, oh, his favorite show is Columbo. Oh, so when I write this story, I'm going to have some elements of him kind of using deductive reasoning and
yeah,
looking
exactly.
at clues, and then you find out through some fandom site, like, oh, his favorite show is Columbo. Like that makes sense because he did it, right?
Yeah,
And it's like that's how that's good character design, is being able to create this well-rounded person, right, or creature, if it's a non-human character, and having these things there as part of your arsenal, so to speak, to help feed into writing about this character or presenting this character a certain way, and it's very important. And I recommend going to a site called Studio Bender. They're not a sponsor or anything, but it's a site I check out all the time. They have a lot of great software for directing, producing, script writing, etc. But they also give a lot of free information on this stuff like character design,
is it
lighting.
Studio Binder?
Studio Binder. I see Studio Bender,
No worries.
but it's Binder, yeah. And but yeah, it's a great site and great info. So, and they talk about character design and the purpose of good character. So check it out if you get a chance. I think it's great. I go to it all the time for their free resources. So, and it's helped me tremendously in my writing and developing super galactic, fantastic dimension. So, yeah, I highly recommend it. Um, but yeah, you brought up something before we started about getting back to sort of entertainment and pop culture. You brought up something about the X-Men '97 showrunner. And
Oh god.
I've heard things, right?
Okay. So
But you shared this video. You want to talk about that for me?
I really don't, but so the reason I wanted to bring it up is mainly because more it goes into the whole subject of as a artist sort of injecting themselves into their work, which isn't inherently a bad thing. I think every creator at some point will sort of inject their own personal lived experience into their art. It's just inevitable.
Yeah,
So, because I say that because a lot of people they complain of, oh, this is a self insert, and those things aren't inherently, I guess, bad in a sense. If you don't really develop them to their own character, right?
Mm,
There's a way to do it, like you know, uh, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Once again,
of course.
part four. There's a character named Rohan. Do you remember Rohan, Dad?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's the manga artist. He's essentially a Rocky self-insert, but instead of making him this sort of Gary Stu character, uh, once again, pardon my French, he's kind of an asshole. He's selfish. He's you know he's very like manipulative. He's kind of stuck up, but he's super dedicated to his craft. Right, everything he does is so he can become a better mangaka. And obviously, people question if uh, this is the real like. Is this like what Rocky's like? And obviously, he's been like, no. If you watch interviews, he's like the exact opposite.
Right.
He's very shy. He's very like, he's married. He's very like, he's kind of a goofball. He's pretty easy to talk to. And he's kind of like, yeah, I'm not, I'm not like, he's me, but he's definitely not me. Like he obviously, it was sort of the sense of, yeah, I wish I was somebody who could just dedicate my entire life to being a better mangaka, and I want his drive and stuff like that. So like he sort of projects kind of what he wants out of being a comic book writer into Rohan, and then he makes him a jerk. Right? So it's not like a it's not like a it's a self-insert that works because Rohan is still his own character. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So with this, and I'm just finding this out recently. I think this was a few months ago that this happened, or weeks ago. So apparently, the showrunner of X-Men '97, um, Mr. DeMeo, Bo DeMeo, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
He was fired for, I guess, sexual harassment. Uh,
Well,
to
at first, I think, according, well, I think it was said he was fired for creative differences or something, or
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that was a
It was definitely a cover story, right?
yeah, I think that was a cover
But I
story.
think eventually it came out that there was far more issues than
Yeah,
just
there was a lot of
creative
sexual
direction.
misconduct in the workplace,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's why he was fired.
And then I
And
heard that he had like an OnlyFans or something.
yeah, so that's what I was getting to is
Yeah.
that the fact. And here's the worst part. Uh, the way he presented himself online, it's very creepy. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It's like he's obviously he's like posting nudes of himself on Twitter and stuff like that.
Okay.
And on
Didn't know
top of that,
that.
like I guess there was this one post of where it's like, oh, if you want to find out the truth of Disney's lying and the allegations, subscribe to my OnlyFans. And I'm like, what? What?
Well, just because he has OnlyFans, I mean, he could be selling candles and stuff, and you know,
Dad, shut up.
just
Stop
talking to
it.
people.
Stop.
I mean, it's crazy. It's like, but
But that's
to
not
me,
why.
what's
But
ironic is it's Disney, right? They don't exactly have a reputation of being the purest of companies, right? Like you
no.
look at track record, and I don't even talk about recent years with the whole
No,
Florida.
you can go as far back
You
as the
go,
50s.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You go way back. There's always been this close association of impropriety, right, with the Disney brand.
Well, is
At
that
first, it seemed like it
Peter
was
Pan, the
specific.
actor who played Peter Pan?
Yeah.
Uh, you know, his whole story. I don't know if you know about it.
I don't think I do. No.
Oh, the model actor who they based Peter Pan on, they didn't they underpaid him and they left him homeless. Uh, and when he got too, because he got too old, and nobody wanted to hire him, and so he became homeless and died on the street.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you remember the Chip and Dale movie,
Yes.
but who's the bad guy in the Chip and Dale movie?
Uh
Peter Pan. And it's not just Peter Pan; it's a very old and ugly Peter
oh,
Pan, and
that's an
that was
interesting
supposed to
point.
be a
Yeah.
reference to that.
Wow. Yeah,
So it's
it's
kind of a
yeah,
spit in his face almost.
yeah,
It's kind
it's
of terrible.
definitely pissed somebody off,
I
right?
don't like that movie, but
Well, yeah, I mean, but yeah, Disney,
yeah,
they don't have a great, I think it's even has declined even more their reputation.
oh yeah,
And so,
but
so hearing about
the
this, it's kind of
optics has
like,
just gotten
oh,
worse.
okay.
But that's not why I brought it up. I brought it up because once again, I was telling you about I mentioned how artists tend to insert themselves into their work in some sort of fashion. The way, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. I don't know if you watched the entirety uh, of X-Men '97.
No, I'll be honest. I plan to watch it, um, but I never bothered.
So
Just I don't trust.
the way he wrote Magneto in the story,
Yeah.
he essentially became a huge pervert. And the reason I say that is because apparently they they rewrote I guess Rogue's backstory. And keep in mind, in the original X Men story, she was like a teenager, maybe like 18, 19 or something, whatever. Um, and they rewrote her backstory to where I guess her mom and Rogue went to live with Magneto, and then Magneto was like basically grooming Rogue as a
Wow. Okay.
teenager. Yeah, this happens in the store. This happens. You see it in the cartoon. Like he's like
Yeah.
in
See,
his private
that's what I'm saying.
room,
It's yeah.
and
I'm
he's
kind of glad I didn't bother watching it.
yeah. And on top of that, like he's like half naked half the time in the show Magneto.
And this is a
And
cartoon, right?
and apparently in the original like concept for that specific scene I'm talking about, like he was supposed to be completely nude because he's like there's a part of the story where he's like crucified on like a giant X, whatever. He's like in his underwear, and I'm like, what is happening? Like,
Really?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah. I mean, if you
so
watch the video, you'll see it.
not watching it was a good thing.
Yeah,
That's what you're telling me.
yeah. I was gonna watch it, and now I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
like,
it's just something. I saw clips that were shared online. Some of the scenes looked cool, like the Gambit clip where he
but
kind of
that's the
sacrificed
same
himself.
part. It's like so the
Yeah, it
animation.
looked pretty awesome.
Yeah, and
Um,
also I want to say like I don't feel like, and it's and I'm always saying this, it's like stop handing series to people who don't understand or appreciate like the brand. It's like it's very clear to me that this guy doesn't understand the X-Men or who the X-Men are and just cared about, emphasizing like his sexual preference in the show. And because it's like the way certain stuff is written, like some of the bios that he wrote for some of these characters, like it's very clear that he doesn't understand the characters. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I was reading I was reading what he wrote for uh, Gambit, for example. Let me
yeah,
find the the clip, and it's kind of insane because the way. that DeMeo describes Gambit as like, oh, he's just some frat boy,
Yeah.
and that's his entire character. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, like that's it's like it just doesn't make sense. Like I said, he just clearly doesn't. I don't know. Understand the character, and it's like, here we go. Yeah. Let me share it.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, if you're an X-Men fan, let us know what you think about the portrayals of specific characters in the show.
Yeah, I heard that when it came to Morph, he kind of changed that dynamic between Morph and Wolverine as well, right? Like
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
insinuated more of a homosexual relationship versus just a straight friendship. Right? That's what I
But
heard. That's what I read online. So like I said, I haven't seen it. So
I haven't either. But yeah, this is what he wrote on Gambit. I'm guessing this word is scratched out because it's inappropriate. So, but yeah, Remy is the school bully Casanova in many ways, a cocky braggart who charms earn him all the leeway. With his ability to skillfully charge objects with explosive kinetic power, Remy finds Scott's inability to control his power humorous, and the two often find themselves at hedge with one another. He does not fully understand the importance of his abilities nor the responsibility they carry, and finds the debate of mutant rights silly and boring. To Remy, he simply wants to graduate, find his next hot girlfriend, and party with his friends. Now, Dad, as someone who watched the original X-Men show, or I don't know if you were a bigger Marvel person than I was.
yeah, I watched the original series and it was excellent. It
Yeah.
was some of the best
Does this
animated.
describe Gambit to you?
No, not really. Gambit, well, yeah, you could tell he was a suave kind of guy,
Well, obviously, yeah.
ladies
But
man.
like,
But there was a lot more to him than that, especially his dynamic with Rogue. That you realize, like, initially you thought, oh, okay, he's like really flirtatious, but then over time you start to realize, like, he's not playing games, right? He really does want to be with Rogue, right? And she's unable, right, because of her situation, her powers.
yeah,
It's like she realized, like, I can never really be with anyone because I would just drain their energy, right? It's just not
yeah. I
possible.
don't want to kill you. Yeah,
And he didn't care. He wasn't worried about that, right? And that was kind of the interesting dynamic between them, right? Is that you could tell she did want to be with him and be together, but she's like, I can't, and it was very, it's done so well. It's very nuanced. So I'm not. Yeah, I guess I don't. I guess they didn't really do that here. I got
apparently
the
not. They
I got
just
the impression that it was a case because, like I said, I saw that clip with Gambit, and I just thought, okay, this is pretty fascinating. Like, this guy went all out, and so it kind of signaled to me, like, oh, maybe they did continue that dynamic and feed into it and build on it. I didn't expect him to die, but but yeah. So, but hearing this description, it's kind of like, oh, okay, I guess. Um, I would like to think there's a lot more to him, right?
what's the thing is the way he described. He's a lot less complex
Especially
than he
defining him
actually
as
is.
a bully. So that's kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, cocky, sure. Charming, of course. Um, so I don't know.
It just I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense because even from and my exposure to Gambit is the old cartoon and the Wolverine movie, the original one.
Yeah, you talked about X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
have to
like
admit the portrayal of Gambit in that was pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I never remember him like I remember he was the cool guy, right? But he wasn't, he wasn't like
He wasn't a bully though.
he
That's
wasn't
that's what I
anything like the way he
recall.
described him. Yeah.
I mean, but like in the movie, it was interesting because at the time when it came out, a lot of people didn't like it. Right? They didn't like the guy who was cast for it.
Oh,
I
really?
thought he was really good. I actually
The only thing I
liked his portrayal.
the only thing I
And
didn't
now
like
looking
about
back, it's like a lot of people are kind of like, yeah, he was pretty good.
yeah.
So it's strange how opinions change over time, but his portrayal was good in that movie. That was one of the kind of the highlights. That and when he fought the Blob guy, right? That
Yeah.
was kind of funny. That it's Blob, yeah. Like I remember that character, but yeah, the overall movie, you know,
Yeah, I thought it was okay.
I didn't care for it because my biggest beef with that movie is the scene where he finds the old couple, right? Or they find him, I should say. Because he's escaped, right? And he's
Yeah.
running, and they find him, and they're like this kindly old farm couple. They take him in, and he fits their son's clothes perfectly, and they obviously lost their son, right? And then like 5 minutes later, they're dead, and it was like what? And that really annoyed me because I thought, okay, this is pretty good. This is getting interesting. But then, like, they track him down like immediately, right?
Yeah.
And they just kill the parent. And I'm not surprised that they killed the people, right? What bothered me was like,
Yeah,
give
there
it
was no
like,
development of
yeah,
that
give it
other person.
a month or two. I don't, like
There was
have
no
him
room for
hide
that
out, have
sort of
him
thing to
cover his
breathe.
tracks,
Yeah.
have him, like I don't know, like give us some time to breathe here and build. Let's flesh out Wolverine as a character by creating this contrast between him and this couple, right? And seeing how he doesn't trust them at first, and he's like he doesn't believe people can be kind, right? And
Yeah.
there it is, people being kind just because, right? And warming up to that, and just when he gets comfortable, just when he thinks maybe life isn't so bad, they take him out, right? That I think that should have been, um, you know what I mean? Like that was a potential for a very interesting story, a story dynamic. Even if like they only killed one of the people in the couple, like they killed the wife and not the husband, or the husband, and then maybe kidnapped her and leveraged her to draw him in, or there's a lot of things like they used the girlfriend, but they pretended to kill her, right? And then he finds out, later that she lied. And it's like, okay, I mean that's fine. That was a terrible betrayal, but yeah, that I don't know. For some reason, seeing that scene, it just made me just hate the rest of the movie. Like I was into the movie. Then we get to that scene. I go, okay, now it's getting interesting, and then dead 5 minutes later, right? And it's like, okay, I hate this movie now. Like this movie is dumb. And a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of fans. But that's the reason why I didn't care for it. And then what they did with Deadpool was dumb. I didn't like that either.
I
That
mean,
was probably the absolute because the
I thought
scene
it was
in the
funny in
elevator,
retrospect,
the scene in
but
the elevator, okay, when he's wisecrack. It was perfect. Like I was
no,
like,
I
yo,
agree.
that's Deadpool. Like okay, so we know what's gonna happen with him. He's gonna become Deadpool somehow. And he steps out the elevator and he's deflecting bullets and slicing. I was like, yo, this is dope, right? Like
Hmm.
this is awesome. And then at the third act, he's
Oh yeah,
what? Weapon
they zipped
X,
his
and
mouth shut.
yeah, they sewed his mouth shut and put blades in his arms. What? Like
I mean, I thought it was
it was
funny in
just dumb.
retrospect because they were tired of him
And
talking.
and he teleports and all. Like, what are
I
you
don't remember
doing?
all
Like,
that.
what's happening here? Like what? Just make him Deadpool. Just just make it. He didn't even have to break the fourth wall. For the sake of the movie, you could just make him Deadpool. Just make him a
Yeah,
straight character. He's serious, and he's a mercenary now, and they
I
did
mean,
something to him and disfigured him. Now he wears the mask, and they fight. and he loses or something. I don't know, or he can regenerate, but so he has to slice his head off. I don't know, but it's like it would have been way more respectful of a scene if they had done that. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's right, Razman. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, X Men Origins Wolverine. That's where we segued into that somehow because we were talking about the X Men '97 series and the portrayal of certain characters like Gambit in particular. So,
and
so
Magneto
good morning to you.
as
Thanks for
well.
joining us. Um,
It's bad.
but yeah, yeah. So those two things, but especially the farm couple scene, like I just thought, like, so what's the goal here? Because I'm thinking, like, aren't we telling Wolverine's story? So why aren't we like building him, his character? Like that was an opportunity to kind of build him up into a character, like that he is human. He's not an animal, right? Like first you had the girlfriend, and he loses that, right? Because that's kind of what's happening, right? They're telling him like you're an animal. You're not supposed to be happy. You're not supposed, right?
Right.
And then they take it from him, right? Just to pull him back in because they want to experiment on, him, right? And it's like now you have this opportunity to say, maybe I'm not an animal. You know what I mean? And kind of express that through how he interacts with this couple. And it's like they barely give it enough room to breathe with that, right? It's like literally the next scene, they're just dead. And it's like, oh, okay, whatever. I don't, like, what's the point? So yeah, that
Yeah.
I pretty much checked out, and then the whole doing Deadpool dirty like that was like, yeah, this is dumb.
Uh, I
Like,
still think it's kind of funny in retrospect because they were so not his design. I thought that was kind of weird,
yeah, it
but
was
more
just
so
awkward.
the him getting his mouth zipped
Yeah,
up was funny.
it was funny, but I don't know. It just it didn't land for me.
I
It was,
also that was my introduction to Deadpool, so I was just like,
and that's a terrible introduction because Deadpool
yeah,
is so awesome in the comics. Like, my introduction was Spider Man meets Deadpool, and I was like, yo, like he's kind of wisecracking just like Spider Man, but then he's like talking to me, the reader, like he's breaking the fourth wall in the comic. It was really cool, like you know what I mean. It was awesome. He had the blades, the swords, and it's like so that portrayal in the movie was garbage. It was like nothing. Like the initial scene, right, was great because I'm like, yeah, that's Deadpool. I could see that, and like he becomes more right where he can regenerate and all that, and they just threw all that out. They're like, no, we're not doing that. We're gonna do something else, and it was just they just should have just made something else. Like it shouldn't have been Deadpool. It should have been a whole other, you know, I don't know. But it was terrible. I didn't like it. So that movie, yeah, it's not great. It's watchable. It's entertaining, but it's just I don't know.
yeah,
You
but
say Rosemary says that sewn up mouth was someone on the production's meta commentary.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, somebody was trying to send a covert message, right? Maybe he pissed somebody off in the production. Yeah,
But yeah, my
oh, we're
thing
gonna do a
is,
rewrite and sew his mouth shut.
oh my God. But yeah, my thing is with the X-Men '97. It's a shame to what happened, and I wish that a lot of these franchises were put in the hands of people who understood and respected what they are, as opposed to trying to turn them into something that they're not. Because it feels like I don't know, like
Yeah,
stuff like that does not encourage me to watch the show.
yeah, I agree. Like I said, I saw some of the clips, and that kind of piqued my interest, but it, yeah, it wasn't enough though to just go ahead and watch it. Yeah, I'm kind of like, yeah, whatever. So maybe one day I'll watch it. I don't know, but I think it was kind of this fluke
No,
from
but
Disney of like a successful show that maybe could have been possibly good, right? It's like I always use this term, Kool Aid in the desert, right? If you're in a desert and you're just thirsty, there's no water, it's hot, and someone leaves a pitcher of Kool-Aid, right, which is the last thing you should be drinking if you haven't had any water for days, right? And but you're like, it's all I have, right?
But that's the thing
And
is
so
we're
it's going
not
to
in a
be the
desert.
best. It's the best thing you've ever had because there's nothing else. And I think that's the case with X-Men '97 is
But
relative to the rest of the entertainment landscape, right? It's great because it's not as bad as the rest of the entertainment landscape. Therefore, it's that picture Kool-Aid. It's great. It's
I
good
guess, but I
because
don't.
it's all we have for now. There's nothing else to compare it to say, well, this is better, unless we go back a decade or 2 decades, right?
But that's the thing. I don't think we're in a desert. Like,
No, we are. We're in a desert.
no, I'm just saying. Like, I mean, if you want to talk about mainstream stuff, fine. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
that's what I'm
like,
saying. Mainstream. I'm not talking about. Yeah, we could look at some things in the indie space, right, and find some gems. So yeah, there's no doubt about that. But in the mainstream, it's a desert. It's there's not a lot of like good things you can point to and go, yeah, that's excellent. That's there just isn't. We have to go pre end game, right, to find a great Marvel movie, right? We have to go pre Force Awakens, to find a great Star Wars movie. You know, you understand? Like the pickings are slim. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Um, Rosemary says we're in an Australian outback somewhere. Yeah, yeah, we are. I really do think we're in an entertainment desert, and but there's an oasis, and that oasis is indie comics and indie filmmakers and indie content creators who are doing great things unfettered by the mainstream and a lot of the nonsense, thanks to, in large part, to social media and the sort of democratization of creating creative content, right? Tools and software being far more accessible to us all, right? And then, of course, social media platforms that are accessible to us all that allows us to do what we're doing now, to live stream and talk to directly to the consumers and say, hey, check us out, and give us a shot, and that's a beautiful thing. I'm certainly thankful for it. It's a great time to be alive when it comes to being a creative and wanting to be seen and to be heard. It really is. It's unprecedented, and I think we should take advantage of it and indulge ourselves and you know put some great stuff out there. And it's kind of interesting because I wanted to bring up, speaking of the indie space, right? I'm sure if you've been following indie comics at all, you've heard about Ripperverse, right?
yeah.
Eric July, and I've been following him since like 2018 or so. 2019 is when I discovered him as a political commentator. And of course, he's also a singer, musician. He's a frontman of a band and pretty decent music. I like a lot of his stuff. And then, of course, he's a comic guy, right? And a lot of things I've know about comics and learn is from watching his channel, and he eventually created the Ripperverse and put it out there, and it's done pretty well in the last couple of years. Just phenomenal success, and it's great. And of course, with that comes a lot of detractors and naysayers, I guess. And it's kind of interesting because I've been kind of just watching, like comments and posts and things, mainly on Twitter, but it's in other places as well. And it's like a lot of times it's the criticism is like, okay, like criticizing like the story, like we critique the Ice on #1. We're gonna do number
Yeah.
two when I finally finish reading it.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's like, but we read it and we're like, okay, this is our honest assessment, right? The goal isn't to bash or anything, or it's just to comment, um, and give a review. And so there's a lot of that out there, and it's fair. But then there is some people out there, not a whole lot, but they they're out there, and they say a lot of things that mischaracterize the Rippaverse and Eric July. And the reason why I bring it up now is because I just saw a video where I think it was he posted it yesterday, where he shouted out like a handful, like a good dozen of indie creators,
Yeah, that's right.
large and small, and I just thought, wow, that's really cool, like that's a cool thing to do. Um, it's like an act of good faith, right? Because one of the criticisms has been that he's put down crowdfunding or something and dissed people who crowdfund or belittled it or something like that. And it's like I don't think he's ever said anything detrimental about crowdfunding itself, right? I know he's criticized certain crowdfunding campaigns or people or individuals, right, for various reasons. um, but and we talked about that a little bit when we mentioned Indiegogo's change in policy, right, regarding
Oh, that's right.
refunds,
Yeah,
and that has to do with some of that criticism, right? That unfulfilled campaigns, etc. So um, definitely valid. But a lot of people didn't like it. It rubbed them the wrong way. I think, in my opinion, they took it the wrong way, um, unfortunately, and so they level a lot of criticism towards him. And this is one of the things that they criticize him of or accuse him of is putting down crowdfunding. Which I don't think he's ever done. I've never seen anything him say anything like that. And then he does this video where he literally shouts out other crowdfunders, other crowdfunding campaigns, and other indie creators. And like I said, large and small. And I just thought, wow, that's really awesome, right? It was very encouraging because right now he is, a big fish in a small pond now, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like his success is pretty massive relative to other indie comic creators, So to do that and put himself out there, I think is a really awesome and grand gesture because he didn't have to do that. He really
yeah,
did, man. And he shouted out guys, and he admitted, like, hey, I don't know this person like personally. I've never met them, but I respect what they're doing, and so I'm going to shout it out, right?
yeah,
And that's to me, that's really awesome. Like that's an incredible thing to do. Um, and I'm not saying no one else has ever done it. Others have shouted out other all that stuff. So, but it's like to do it when you're riding high like that, and you really don't. You're not required to. You don't have to, right? Um, and I think a lot of everybody appreciate like I saw those same creators comment. They're like, yeah, man, I appreciate that. And but then there's always naysayers, you know, and it's kind of like what, like it's just weird. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's like, oh, he only shouted out his buddies or something, or who people that lick his boots. Some it was something to that effect. And I'm
Oh,
kind
I
of
see.
like, wait, he shouted out people that he clearly hasn't met before, right? That you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so what are you talking about, right? Even if it was his friends, right? Let's say he just shouted out people that he just liked that are friends with him, right? Uh, and is that an issue? Because like, why is that an issue? Like, what's wrong with shouting out your friends? Isn't that what friends do, right?
yeah. I
They
mean, he's
they help
not
each other,
obligated to shout out
right?
anybody.
He's not obligated to shout out strangers
It's
or
not his
friends.
job.
Yeah, so it's just a strange dynamic. I think no matter what he does, um, there's going to be negative criticism, even whether it's valid or not, right? Um, and but that just kind of annoyed me to see that because I'm like, man, like he really didn't have to do that. That was actually really awesome, you know, and I'm sure those creators appreciated that, because
Yeah,
a lot of eyes are on Riververse. So for him to highlight them in the midst of that, now those eyes are on those properties as well, right? And um, that's a beautiful thing. So I appreciate. He didn't shout me out, so I'm not like saying this because he
yeah,
shouted me out. Like he didn't, but I'm just kind of like, yo, but that's cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it got me hyped because I'm just thinking like, because one point he made at the end of the video was, and I think it's very important to remind ourselves because I think I don't know what it is, educational system, what indoctrination, whatever, but we do have this perception of the economy as this fixed pie, right? And so resources, we like to use that term resources, and like they're limited, So like if he has, you know, these thousands of people buying his book, that's a thousand less people that's going to buy my book. And it's like, well,
That's not how
that's
that
not how it
works.
works.
That's not
Like
how it
that's
works.
not reality, right? When you go to a grocery store, you don't just go for one thing, you go for many things,
Yeah.
right? And many times you're buying multiples of the same thing because it's a different brand or a different flavor or a different, right? That's how we operate. And it's the same in entertainment, right? Just because I go see Lord of the Rings in the theaters doesn't mean I
Doesn't
don't
mean
want
I'm
to
not gonna
see
go see Season
see
of
aliens,
yeah.
or yeah, you know what I mean, like, or some drama, right, or a chick flick, or it's like that's just how we are. We have multiple,
What kind, what
you know what I mean, like,
what kind of argument is that?
I know, but this is like the mentality that's being reflected is that it's a fixed pie, and the point he makes is that it's not. Get out
Yeah,
there, do your thing, be great, make something awesome,
yeah, that's
and
something
the,
he's
the same
always
people that
said.
are
Yeah,
buying his book, many of them will buy our book and buy
yeah,
the next guy's book. Like comics is, people aren't like only buying DC. Even if they say I'm a huge fan of DC, right? I never only bought DC. I bought Marvel and DC, right? Now I might buy more of one than the other, but I'm gonna still look at both. Because at the end of the day, I'm looking for something that's gonna move me, something that's gonna entertain me, right? A good story. And it doesn't matter who the publisher is per se, right? All that matters is like, that looks interesting. Let me check that out, right?
yeah.
And I think, I don't know. It's a strange thing, and I'm not gonna lie. I've been guilty of it, especially when I was younger, thinking that things are just like in this narrow tunnel. Like, like once this guy has it, right, the success, you can't have it either. You can't have it now.
Mm,
It's gone. It belongs to him, and it's like, no, that's not how it works. It just isn't. That's why we do have a DC and a Marvel and an Image Comics and
right.
all these other, right. That's why we have a Warner Brothers and a Universal and a Paramount and a Disney, right. That's why they're there, because it's a huge landscape and there's plenty of room for success and to make money and to build your audience, and it's the same in the indie space, right. um, you just gotta find your audience, right. And
Right.
yeah, so um, that's all. I just want to point that out. Like, it's unfair, and it's honestly, it's flat out wrong, and it's really, at first it was kind of like, whatever, I don't care, but at some point it just starts to become grating. Like, who are these people? Like, So I'll leave it at that. I'm not gonna point out specific people or accounts or whatever. I just wanted to say that in a general sense. Like, yeah, it's just weird, and I don't get it. I don't understand it. The hate, it's so unjustified. Now look, there's legit criticism. You can say, oh, the art wasn't great or the story was flat or whatever, right? That's fine. Like, that's your right. But
Yeah.
it's like when and to be fair, I didn't vote for Trump or nothing like that, but I do recognize that people don't like him for the wrong reasons, right? And I
Yeah.
remember trying to convince a friend of mine of that, because he was like, "He's this racist, he's this," and I tried to show him, like, I had video evidence. I sent him links and everything. We had a conversation, and I tried to show him what you believe that he said or did is false. So you're not liking him for the wrong reasons. I said, if you don't have to like him, I said, I'm not telling you you have to like him. What I'm telling you is, if you're gonna not like someone, don't like them for the right reason, right? You understand? If you're
Well,
gonna
well,
say
make sure
I
it's
hate
not based
you,
off of lies. Yeah.
that's my point. Don't base your hate for someone or dislike based off of false information,
Yeah.
right? Base it off of actual factual information, right? There's plenty of reasons to not like Trump as a political figure, right? Based on policies and policy decisions, things like that, right? Yeah, it's the same thing with Obama, right? I had to do that in the inverse with someone else who didn't like Obama. I was like, well, you're not liking him for the wrong reasons, right? You believe in these conspiracies and say, well, let's just look at his policies. You could just not like him based on these, and that's kind of what's happening with Eric July. It's like a lot of people, and this is just from comments I see in passing on Twitter and stuff. They don't like him because it's like there's no valid reason. It's just, and then they throw in these falsehoods, right,
Yeah.
or mischaracterizations, and it's like, what? Like that's not true. That's not accurate. And it's like, I don't like him because of this. And it's like, well, yeah, but that's not true. So you're not liking him based on something that's not even true. Like it doesn't. That's not. That's not logical. So yeah, it's strange. So that's my 2 cents on it. I don't matter. So
Well,
like nobody knows who I am. But it's like,
well,
yeah,
I know.
it's
I
just
mean, that's. I
odd.
mean, but you're right though. It's like, you know, it's like you have the right to dislike something, but that doesn't necessarily mean your reasons for disliking that thing are valid. And you have to really like self
Yeah,
reflect
right.
on the things you like and don't like, and why you like them and don't like them.
Yeah, and look. Sometimes you just don't like somebody, and that's fine. Like I've been there. I've met people, and my initial impression of them is like, I just don't like this guy. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I have no valid reason other than I just have this feeling, and I just my impression is bad. I just don't like him, and whatever. Right? That happens. And I've had experiences where that same person later on, once you interact with them and have conversations, you realize, oh, he's not so bad. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's just initial impressions, and maybe that's the case for some people, and then they fill in that hole where the reason is, and they find one that's, even if it's false, they don't care. They just like, well, that's the reason why I don't, like I already don't like him, but now I'm put this reason in here to justify it, right? It doesn't matter if it's true or valid, right? Um,
You're right.
and I think that's the case with some people, is they just, for some reason, they just don't like him for whatever reason, right? They just, their impression of him or something, uh, you know, and then others who put out, the false information or whatever, the mischaracterizations, they see that and they latch onto it and go, oh, that's why I don't like him, right? They just add it to their justification, right? So that's my theory. But yeah, it's just, I just find it odd. Like when I saw those comments about his video, I'm like, this is probably the coolest thing someone could do. Like, it's, to me, it's like, just, I don't know, think about someone who's just a very successful, popular, well-known individual, and they just all of a sudden do a video and they start shouting out your stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
go check. Like, that's kind of what it is. Like, here's someone who's high profile. He has, right, and he says, "Hey, we're gonna shout out, you know, these creators." That's cool. So, I, respect. You know what I mean? Like, for real. So yeah, I just want to talk about that because it's like, yeah, up till up till now, it I didn't care. It was like, well, whatever. They don't like him. Let's keep it moving. But seeing that, it was just kind of like, yeah, that's just weird, man. Like, yeah, this is
Yeah.
going too far. There's been some other things, but that one really, yeah,
Hmm.
it's kind of like, yo, this is just getting out of hand. Rosmain says, "Who aren't invested in the me?" Oh, I think there was a previous comment. Sorry, he said comics and manga attracts adult cuckoo birds who aren't
Yeah,
invested in the
that
media,
is true.
just messing with other people's fun and or info. Yeah, I think you're right. I think sometimes it's just people who are kind of professional naysayers, I guess, right? And Ripper never disparaged crowdfunding. Just like, yeah, that's right, and that's exactly right. He never disparaged crowdfunding in and of itself. He stated, look, he chose a different business model. He said, I'm going to do pre-orders, and I'm going to, he funded that first book out of his own pocket, right? And not just the book, but the company itself, right? Everything. And so he took a big risk, and it paid off, right? And but he didn't do a crowdfund. He structured it like a crowd fund, right? Like when he did his site and he had the counter and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think that was very smart. Um, because it gives you that feel like you're definitely still supporting this creator, right? And it feels like a crowdfund, but it's not. It's a pre-sale, right? It's actually a very smart way to approach it, and it was successful, yeah. But he never disparaged crowdfunding in and of itself, right? He just chose a different path, and but yeah, he just criticized and quite accurately the lateness, right? That there are certain crowdfunders, that have been late, right? And there's a few. I mean, in my own experience, I've supported crowdfunds. I've been doing it for well over a decade now, and some I haven't been fulfilled. Like I've just lost money, you know.
Yeah.
And you just keep moving, just go well, oh well, right? And so, but yeah, it's not just in comics. It's in other areas like product developments and innovations. Um, you know, films, movies, video games. There's been video games that I've supported that never came to fruition. Whatever, for many reasons. Sometimes they're legit, like health issues, right? Other times it's you know, the guys are flaky or something, like what I mean. They just took the money and ran basically, and so yeah, it happens. Too many black indie comics guys jumped on Ripley's neck prematurely and shot themselves in the foot. Yeah, that's true. That's another dynamic. To me, that's a whole separate dynamic, right? The idea of being a black creator and in this space. And I'm sure there's a certain. I think it's similar, right? But yeah, um,
Uh,
because that gets into his politics, right? And he's been characterized as this conservative, whatever. Even though he's not, he stated that he's stated his stance on various things. He's a libertarian or anarcho-capitalist, you know, and he's made that clear. He's made arguments to that effect. He's criticized both Republicans and Democrats, and conservatives and liberals. Like, if you listen to the show, and I'm familiar because, like I said, that's how I discovered Eric July was watching his commentary about politics and entertainment, etc., the social issues, all that. So
yeah.
that's where I know him from. I wasn't aware that he was a musician until much later, and I think it was when he did this cover. I forgot the song and the person he did it with. He did a duet, and it kind of blew my mind. I was like, this guy has pipes. Like this dude can blow. Like he
Yeah.
had an incredible voice. And that's when it was like, oh, backwards. What is that? And I, found out. Oh, he's got this. Then later on, he dropped one of his albums and just said you can have it for free. Right? He downloaded. So I did it. I downloaded it and listened to some of the tracks. I liked a lot of what I heard. So yeah, that was my introduction to Eric July and everything. Um, so yeah, so I've been kind of rocking with him since then, and then the whole comic thing, right? And now Ripperverse. So it's like, yeah, man, I'm here for it. Good, bad, and different. Um, I am a fan. I like a lot of what he's done. So, um, but yeah, it's yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, hopefully, maybe minds will change, right? And we'll see, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
about because I've been part of those groups, right? Especially when I did my first book and just trying to get it out there. I joined like the Black Creators group and the Black Comics group and the Black Animators group, Black group, and
A lot of
and
those conversations get very tiring.
yeah, after a
Um,
while, it's very repetitive. Now I've met a lot of great people though in many of those groups. Yeah, you meet a lot of great individuals who they're just doing great things, very talented, right? And many of them I've supported their campaign. So, but yeah, but in a general sense, though, yeah, you do get into a lot of the I don't know the politics of it, I guess, and the perceptions of like there's racism around every corner and under every rock, and that's why we're not this or that, and it's kind of like, well, it's not black and white, no pun intended, right? Like there's nuance. And
yeah.
but yeah, it's like and someone like Eric July doing what he's doing, right? and experiencing the success, it kind of throws a monkey wrench in that philosophy, right? Because it's like, well, here's this black man married to a black woman from a black family, Texas. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like, and
things like this,
he's doing what many of us want to do, right? We want to have success and do our own thing, and it's a great deal of crossover, right? It's not just black people buying his book. There's everybody's buying his book, right? And why? Well, because in a general sense, most people don't care about your race, your color. They just want something good, right? So then you have to ask the question: if you're putting out something, right, and people aren't responding, maybe it's because it's maybe not as good as you want it to be, right? Maybe
yeah,
it's
I mean,
not
and that's one
racism.
thing that really gets on my nerves because it's like it gets into this, and I'm more talking about because this applies to like social media content people as well. There's always this. Recently, I guess this white social media influencer blew up overnight, and you had a lot of black women complaining about. It's kind of saying the same stuff you're saying. Oh, well, she went viral because she's white. If it was a black person, we have
Yeah,
to twice
per-
as hard. Da, da, da. And it's like if you scroll and if you look through the person that they're trying to criticize their, I guess, TikTok page, you could tell that they've been on the platform for a while,
right.
and obviously it
They're,
was
they're
not
yeah, their overnight
overnight. It
success
was
took
it was
a
years
decade or so. Yeah,
of making content, and then
yeah.
suddenly,
There used to be a saying that it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, right?
yeah,
Yeah, that's usually the case, right? Like it's like even Eric July, right? You look at his success, but
yeah. He's been on YouTube for a while. He's
right, he's
been
been on
in
YouTube
the
forever. He
entertainment
has a
industry
huge
for a
following.
while. One
He's
of his
part of
early
Face.
videos is him
Yeah,
in the "Teach Me How to Duck Eat" music video,
yeah. I mean, the
which is
guy
hilarious.
has built up, a lot of good faith, and so of course he's going to have some success, right? When he transitions to another space like comics, and he's already positioned himself as someone who's very knowledgeable of comics and
Yeah,
well read, a true fan, right? So that builds good faith, right? And then people say, "Oh, you're doing a book. I'm there for it," right? Like that's what it is, and then like you see, he had a lot of audience that weren't even comic people, who were like me, who were there for other reasons, right? For the commentary and stuff, right? Maybe others were there for the music, but then they're like, "Well, I'll still rock with you with the comics too," right?
yeah,
And that's a big deal. That makes a big difference. So it's like the success, when you start thinking it through, you realize, yeah, it kind of makes sense that, I'm sure it's still way more than he probably initially expected, right? But still, it still makes sense where you're like, yeah, I mean, he's built up a lot of good faith, right? So it's paying off. So but Rosmin says one could see it coming. Oh, if one could see it coming, Ripper Spotlight would be meaningless if the creators were random. I'm not sure I understand the point. Um, unless there's two separate statements. I'm sorry if they are. Um,
it was two separate statements.
oh, if the creators were random, I guess. Meaning if they
If it
weren't
was
random.
just random people,
Oh well, yeah. I mean, it kind of was, but it wasn't random people in the sense of obviously he did his research, right? So even
yeah,
though
they're
there were
all
people
people
that
who put out
he
quality stuff.
he yeah, exactly. There were people that already fulfilled
So
campaigns.
for
Yeah,
example, like if you're
that's
mad
I
that
see what you're saying. Yeah.
you know he didn't shout you out, then it's like, I mean,
Well, yeah, I haven't,
you
haven't fulfilled anything.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I haven't done anything. So it's like, wait, I want to see you prove, right?
Yeah,
Then we'll see, but it's still he's not required, right? It's not like
yeah. Once again,
he
it's
has to
not
do it.
his
Yeah,
job.
yeah. So it's like, but yeah, I see what you're saying, resume. Yeah, it's like you're not gonna just shout out Joe Blow, and then like months later we find out Joe Blow took the money, didn't fulfill anything. shut down the crowdfunding site, all that.
It's
So
it's kind
yeah,
of silly.
yeah, that's a good point. Let's see, there's another one. The online access to Riververse is a weirdo prize. Um, what does that mean? I don't know. It's a weirdo prize.
Well,
Oh, I guess
I
you mean for the weirdos out there haven't been able to access him online, and I guess and actually interact with him directly. Although he's toned that down, right? Since
yeah.
his launch, he doesn't interact directly
Well,
all the time.
yeah.
So
I mean, he used to do the whole monetize your haters thing,
yeah,
stuff
yeah, I
like
remember
that.
that, and I admit at the time when he was doing that, I thought that was a bad
Oh,
idea.
yeah.
Yeah, I did. I was kind of like, yeah, I don't think you should be doing that. Just because it just gives more fodder, right? To the haters. It's like it, yeah, monetize your haters, and you're spotlighting people, especially if they have like goofy arguments and weird takes. Yeah, it's good. It's entertaining and everything, but overall, I think it was a bad look. You know, I think it would have been better to just ignore them. Address like things that are definitely like should be addressed. Like if someone's accusing you of something that's really egregious or something, or you want to clarify like that's not true, or like that's fine. Um, or just do a general video and just address those criticisms that way, and but like bringing them on and having debates, and I thought, I don't know, 'Cause
Yeah.
I felt embarrassed for the person he brought on for one, because I'm like,
I mean, some
why are you here?
people.
you know, but
Some
yeah,
people bring it on themselves.
I know, I agree. Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't think he should have wasted his time. That's how I feel. Like once you're like you're rising, right? You don't want to keep like coming down to like deal with like things that overall the whole grand scheme don't really matter, right? Like someone criticizing like a page from your book because they misunderstood something, and a lot of times it was kind of willfully like in other words they had to find a reason, right? So they
Hmm.
found one, and it's the most mundane, you know what I mean, like insignificant thing,
Yeah, something
right?
like that isn't warranted
And
your
but they're
time.
gonna
Yeah.
make it into this big conversation, and then you bring them on and actually have like, yeah, that's all I'm saying. You're lending credence to like this bad faith criticism, right? Like, so that's what I mean. Like, that's what I mean by it was a bad look. Like, you're giving them too much credence, right? More than they deserve. You're actually giving them what they want, which is attention. And in
Yeah,
the eyes of
I
many,
agree.
it validates that. It
Some
validates
people just
bad, even
don't
if it's not
need you don't they don't need your attention.
Yeah, they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
A lot of times they don't. The rip ahead is Twitter plus. Now that I understand. Yeah, yeah, I agree. It does seem that way, right? Like it's not even about like I said, it's not about anything legit. It's just like, oh, this is fun hating on this person.
Yeah, it
It's
gets annoying
some kind
after a
of
while.
rush or something. I guess I don't know. Like yeah, it's like a rush. you know. DC Comics versus Marvel Comics. Fanaticism has been replaced with something stupider and unfun. Yeah, that's an interesting point. That could be the case too. Like maybe there's been this vacuum created because of the terrible comics they've been putting out, and we've already exhausted the criticism for that stuff, like the New Warriors crap, right? That's been exhausted, so now they need something else to direct their vitriol. I guess I don't know, yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Like and that's what's funny comparing him to the big two. I'm like, I mean, granted, he's doing great, but he's not close to where they are yet. You know what I mean?
No.
Like he's still got ways to go to grow. There's plenty of room to grow. And like especially building like a brand that permeates, you know, beyond the indie space, right? That like you say DC Comics or Marvel in pretty much any place on the planet, and most people are going to understand what you're referring to, right?
Hmm.
But if you go say Riververse, in a lot of places they're going to go, huh, right? They're not
Right.
going to know yet because it's like he hasn't permeated yet, right? It's. I think he will get there, probably a lot sooner than DC and Marvel did. You never know, especially because of the technology, right? The internet. So, but it's like maybe so. It's it's interesting. Like I said, it's something I tried to ignore, but now it's like sometimes it gets to a point where you're like, this just doesn't make any sense, man. Like, why are they doing this? Like, like at first you just dismiss it, like, whatever. But now it's gotten to a point where it's like, I like I don't get it. If
I
a dead
mean, some of the
celebrity,
stuff isn't worth engaging in, to be honest.
yeah, I agree. Rosman says if a vetted celebrity with the approved politics had done what Ripper did, he'd be esteemed by the mainstream. Yeah, I agree with that. Um, I think, I mean, that's just par for the course, right? Like, if he were mainstream and he was in lockstep with Hollywood in some way, right? Oh, they'll be applauding him, right? They'll be singing his praises.
Right.
But because he is, a virtual unknown, right, relative to Hollywood for sure, and then even the big two, and phenomenal success, right? It's like, okay, wait a minute, and that's a point he's made before about, it's not about you have to go through these gatekeepers and you have to go this path. It's like you blaze your own path, and that's what he did. You know, he blazed his own path, and you know, it's either it gets to a point where it's like shut up and get out of the way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
either you're gonna jump on the train and ride it and have fun and just go with it, or you just got to get out the way. Because if you're not helping, you're hindering, right?
Yeah.
Already did. So there's one more. Oops, I keep clicking the wrong. Sorry, resume. Here we go. Let's be honest. A particular white guy wasn't allowed to lead Ripper, so that person fielded an online war. Yeah, I know who you're talking about,
I
and
have no
kind of
idea who you're talking about.
kind of what I was getting at with the monetize your haters. He's basically doing that, right? But in reverse, right? Because he's directing it specifically towards Eric July and the Riververse. But that's kind of what it's like. It's the same. Either way, it's a bad look, right? It's a bad look.
Mm.
It was a bad look when Eric July did it, and now it's a bad look. This guy is doing it, and it's like, and yeah, sure, he makes some money. It's quick money. And he's maintaining this following. But how long will it last? I don't think it's going to last much longer, unless it evolves into something else, right? Or something happens, right? That puts more fuel on the fire. But barring those two things, yeah, I don't see it lasting. And I think it's turned off a lot of people. I know it has turned me off. Like I was someone who wanted to support this stuff, and I did. Um, but now I'm kind of like, oh, and not because of the dislike of um, the Ripperverse or Eric July. Like I said, I could care less if you like somebody or not. That's your prerogative. But it's like realizing regarding the commentary about lateness and things like that. It's like, I'm seeing this and I'm experiencing it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, and I've experienced it before. But yet, it's like the one thing I haven't experienced is when someone is uh, late, or not fulfilling, and they continue to sort of have this presence online and sort of very
Hmm.
braggadocious,
Yeah.
and in the midst of like, wait a minute. You understand? Like, and that's was what I'm just like, yeah, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm not with that. I'm not picking up what you're putting down anymore. Like, because you know what I mean?
Mm,
You're the one that's, kind of guilty of this thing. And it's a bad look, and some people can weather it, that and just don't care. Like, clearly this person doesn't care, and that's fine. And like I said, we'll see how long it lasts. I don't know. I can't imagine it lasting much longer. So because it's like at some point it's like, look, just move on and do your thing, you know uh, keep
yeah.
building, right? So, but yeah, um I think that's a big part of it. Like I said, he's Eric July made that point about there's no specific path. He blazes his own path, and but there are people who are like, well, no, there's gatekeepers, and you have to go through the gatekeeper. And but he's proven that's not necessarily true, right? Um,
Hmm.
so, and yeah, certain people, a lot of his critics are, you know, they're not happy about that, right? Um, and they're lashing out. So I don't know. It's like I said, some of it's kind of odd to me. Um, just the, and what's odd is just the comments that are made. Like, they're just like so outrageous and egregious, and for the most part untrue, right? There's never any proof. It's just an accusation or
I'm
statement.
pretty sure he made someone. I'm pretty sure someone compared him to Donald Trump for some reason.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, there's that.
I don't know.
Um, and yeah, Ross Main. That's exactly it. It was Pierce the Veil with Lauren Babbitt. That's right. That's what I was referring to. Thanks for reminding me. I appreciate it. Yeah, that was awesome. Like, I mean, they both have amazing voices. But yeah, Eric July, I didn't know he could blow like that, man. Like, so I was like, yo, this dude, like,
Mhm.
he's got the bills, the skills to pay the bills, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's what got me like, oh, let me check out his music. Then I didn't even know, I thought he was just a guy doing the commentary, and then find out, oh, he can sing, and then, oh, wait, he's in a band and all this stuff, right? So yeah, it was pretty cool. So, but yeah, that's right, Pierce the Veil. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful rendition too. Like, man, like I still have it. I got it bookmarked, so
Hmm.
because I'm like, yeah, it's in my playlist, like it's really good. And I'm not into like, I mean, well, I'm into a lot of different kinds of music, so but yeah, like, yo, like, that was dope. So, but yeah, that's it. That was my 2 cents on the matter. As if anyone cares, that's fine. But but yeah, I think it's weird. That's all. Um, but you know, like I said, you just got to keep it moving, uh, keep moving forward, keep on pushing,
Yeah.
and that's what we're gonna do. Um,
Don't
and
get jealous. Get motivated.
yeah, yeah. What they say, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah.
No, don't hate the player, don't hate the game. Learn to play the game, right, and learn to win. And that's our goal here, is just to win. And you
Yeah.
win by getting establishing your own successes in whatever way you can. And as you can see at the bottom, it says launching our crowdfund next month, early October. That's what we're doing. We're going to set a date soon. Um, but yeah, start looking for that. I'm hoping um, no later than, I would like to do October 1st proper, and just you know go. But I just want to give ourselves a little leeway because we're getting things together. We're gonna have some great stuff to offer, the book, but also we're gonna do some shirts, and we're gonna do a backpack. And because it's for all ages, so we're hoping that if you're a parent, that you'll check it out and get it for your kids, get it for yourself. You're gonna enjoy it as well, especially if you're a comic book person. But we got something for the kids as well, so shirts, and we're going to try and do a backpack, hopefully a ball cap as well. So we're getting those logistics together, and how we're going to source it and make sure that we're good. And yeah, the story we already have the first 5 pages done for the story we're gonna launch with, and we got another 5 in the works, and we're plowing away because we're trying to get as much done as possible, and that's part of the reason why we haven't launched yet too. Is trying to get um, the book like to close to finish, or at least start it right. Because right now we're at about approximately 50 pages, so it's going to be a pretty good sized book. It's going to be a pretty big story, lots going on, introducing to you a lot of great characters, including our flagship character Alphatron, and this is going to be his origins. So we're going to start from the beginning. Like, how did he become what he is? Or how did he get there? There's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of mystery. It's a sci-fi action adventure fantasy superhero story. So it's going to have a little bit of everything in it. You're going to have cool technology. You're going to have cyborgs. You're going to have super soldiers, and of course superheroes and robots and aliens, and just going to be interplanetary travel. Like we're throwing in everything and the kitchen sink, right? But most importantly, it's going to be a good story. It's going to be a fun story for you guys to get into and enjoy. We're following the footsteps of giants like George Lucas and Star Wars and things like that, right? Like we're trying to make something that's for everybody. It's something that's fun and something you can get into and really love. And so hopefully you'll support us and join us in this journey. And yeah, and looking forward to giving you guys something great. So go to our site, supergalacticfantastic.com. Join our email list so you can get notifications. And yeah, you'll be getting more information via email. And of course, we'll announce it here as well. And I'm always on Twitter. So look to Twitter, go to our Twitter account at the Alphatron, and follow, and support us. So, and Ross Main asks, have you thought about trying to go on a Dave Brink Genuine Comics promotional live stream? No, I haven't. If if that's an option, I would love to. So if you have any information, um, like share a link to their channel. Uh, I'll reach out to them. So I've done one live stream um, a while ago, and that was a lot of fun. So I would love to do it again. So yeah, yeah, I appreciate it. I'll look them up and reach out to them. So, but yeah, so that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us, and yeah, please do, Rosmaine. Thank you. And just reach out to me on Twitter. I'm on there most of the time, so that's become the new hub. So I think
Yeah.
Twitter is going to be something interesting in the near future. I think it eventually will rival not just Facebook. It's already rivaling Facebook, but I think it'll rival YouTube as well. I really believe that.
And
So
we'll see.
yeah, we'll see how that goes. So, but yeah, thanks guys for joining us. And if you listen to the recording, thanks for listening. And please like and share with your friends. Tell them all about us. Tell them something great is coming. So, and thanks for joining us for this Super Galactic Saturday. I wish you all the best. Make it a wonderful day.
We'll see you around.